the early morning of June 13th, 2020, the San Diego Sheriff's Department received a call from a worried mother, Jenna Bryans. She claimed that her husband had taken their 2-year-old twins, Aubrey and Haley, away and was threatening to drive off a cliff with them. The police tracked his cell phone to the Sunset Cliffs, California area, where SDPD Lieutenant David Bautista spotted the truck on Hill Street near Sunset Cliffs Boulevard at about 5 a.m. Bautista testified that he saw the truck accelerate towards the cliff and into the water, where it landed upside down. 51-year-old Robert Bryans abducted his twin daughters from his parents' home. He then sped off the cliff into the ocean in his pickup truck. San Diego Police K-9 officer Jonathan Wees rappelled down the cliff using a 100-foot dog leash. He then found Robert floating in the water while holding both girls in his arms. One of the girls was crying and holding onto his neck, while the other was limp and seemingly lifeless. The officer then helped propel Robert to shore by swimming behind him and pushing him through the water. Weese's rescue efforts earned him a National Carnegie Medal, which recognizes acts of heroism, and the declaration of an official Jonathan Wees Day in the city of San Diego. During the investigation, the authorities learned that Robert exchanged angry text messages with his wife after he kidnapped the twins. He told his wife his plan to drive off a cliff with them. He wrote in one message, "The girls are going to heaven, and I am going to hell to wait for you." He also wrote a post on Facebook just 3 minutes before driving off the cliff. "Tonight, I am sending my babies to heaven." The twins survived the attempted slaying, but one of them suffered severe injuries, including to her brain. Robert and the girls were hospitalized for their injuries sustained in the crash. Following his arrest, he initially pleaded not guilty to a slew of charges, but on August 9, 2024, Robert pleaded guilty for charges of attempted slaying, kidnapping, burglary, child abuse, and domestic violence in exchange for a lesser sentence and other charges being dropped. The girl's mother said at Robert's sentencing hearing on September 20th that the children are doing very well and thriving. They are 6 years old and in the first grade. She said, "I'm thankful that Robert is taking responsibility for his wrongs and is ready to serve his time. This has been a missing step towards healing for all of us." In a brief statement before he was sentenced, Robert thanked law enforcement and emergency responders for their efforts in rescuing the children and said, "I love my babies, and I'm sorry." Along with the agreed-upon 31-year prison term, San Diego Superior Court Judge Joan Weber imposed a 10-year protective order prohibiting contact between Robert and his children, as well as their mother. Robert's attorney objected against the order, but the judge said, "These girls need time to heal." She also said it would be more appropriate for the children to decide whether they would want to contact their father when they were older. Judge Weber told Robert, "The true miracle of this situation, sir, is that you are not before me for 2 counts of premeditated slaying of those 2 beautiful girls. It is incredibly shocking to the court that you would let whatever disputes you have with your wife lead you to try to take the lives of 2 innocent, 2-year-old, beautiful children." Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., better known by his stage name Young Dolph, was an American rapper from Memphis, Tennessee. He was shot and lost his life on November 17, 2021. The theory put forward by prosecutors offered the first confirmation by authorities that Young Dolph's slaying was the result of an ongoing hip-hop war between Mario Mims, also known as Yo Gotti's CMG Camp, and Dolph's Paper Route Empire organization. The roots of the Dolph Gotti feud began more than a decade ago. In 2014, Dolph, then just emerging as a mixtape artist, began saying publicly that he'd turned down an offer to join Gotti's CMG record label. The rappers traded diss tracks and targeted references over the years, including Dolph's 2016 full-length debut, The King of Memphis, seen as a direct challenge to Gotti's claim on that position. Then, on February 25, 2017, while on tour in Charlotte, North Carolina, a vehicle Dolph was riding in was shot at. More than 100 rounds were fired into the car, which was bulletproof, and Dolph was unharmed, performing a concert that night. Dolph's LP, the fittingly titled Bulletproof, following the shooting featured the single 100 Shots. On September 26, 2017, Young Dolph was shot outside a retail store in Hollywood, Los Angeles. He was in critical condition at the hospital, but doctors said after a few hours that he was expected to survive. He spent 2 weeks in hospital to recover from the gunshot wounds. Gotti was initially named a person of interest moments after the shooting, but was later cleared. Gotti's friend, Corey McClendon, was arrested for attempted slaying, only to be released the next day with no charges. In May 2019, Gotti associate Block Youngste was one of 3 men who surrendered to authorities in Charlotte for their alleged involvement in the Dolph shooting. Youngste was released on bail, and charges against him were eventually dropped. During the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, young Dolph began to stay with his family in Memphis more frequently, and did so amid rumors of retirement. He was known in the area for his philanthropy, donating $25,000 to his alma mater, Hamilton High School, and providing motivational speeches to students. He was also known for handing out Thanksgiving dinners. He gave away 200 turkeys to individuals at the West Cancer Center just days before his demise, and he was scheduled to donate additional meals days later. The next year, on November 17, 2021, young Dolph was fatally shot in Memphis while visiting Makeda's homemade butter cookies, a bakery he frequently visited whenever he was back home. He was gunned down by 2 gunmen in a white 2-door Mercedes-Benz. Crowds of hundreds of people swarmed the crime scene where he was shot and lost his life. The police had to prevent individuals from entering the area while they investigated for hours. Tennessee House Representative London Lamar and Memphis Councilman J.B. Smiley reacted by calling for a curfew in Memphis to prevent civil unrest and violence. An autopsy revealed that he had about 22 gunshot wounds scattered around his head, back, chin, neck, and arms. Young Dolph was buried later that month on November 30th. A service was held at First Baptist Church Broad Street. The family's caravan of black SUVs was escorted by security and Memphis police to the cemetery across from Hamilton High School. 2 months later, on January 5, 2022, the police identified one of the suspects responsible for the slaying as 23-year-old Justin Johnson. They issued a first-degree slaying warrant, and a reward of up to $15,000 for information on the suspect was offered by the Tennessee authorities. Justin had an established history of criminal charges and violence, as well as ties to organized criminal gangs. On January 11, 2022, Justin was captured by police in Indiana on the same day after law enforcement received over 500 tips leading to his arrest. Another suspect, 32-year-old Cornelius Smith, was arrested for the theft of the car used in young Dolph's slaying. 27-year-old Shundale Barnett, a passenger of the vehicle Justin was driving, was also arrested. The next day, on January 12th, Justin and Cornelius were indicted on first-degree slaying charges and other criminal charges, while the passenger, Shundale, was charged with being an after-the-fact accessory. After Justin and Cornelius struggled to find legal representation, they were given an ultimatum by Judge Lee Coffey to have a lawyer by February 4th, and if they did not have a lawyer, he would hire a private attorney to represent them both. On February 11th, both Justin and Cornelius pleaded not guilty to first-degree slaying. On November 10th, 2022, another suspect, 43-year-old Hernandez Govin, was indicted for the slaying of young Dolph and the conspiracy to slay. He is alleged to have ordered the slaying of young Dolph. Cornelius testified in a Tennessee court against Justin, saying he participated in the hit on the rapper because of the promised payout. He said he and Justin were set to receive $40,000 each, with Hernandez, the man prosecutors say, was the mastermind behind the slaying, receiving $20,000. Cornelius said Justin picked him up, noting the initial plan was to shoot young Dolph at a Thanksgiving turkey drive, but spotted the camouflaged wrapped Corvette the rapper was known to drive. When they saw his car, they started following him and watched him pull into the parking lot of the cookie shop where he was shot. Cornelius said he was the first to exit the car when they pulled into the parking lot. He said, "I couldn't tell you how many times I shot young Dolph. I wasn't feeling nothing at the time. I was just trying to get some money. I saw him standing by the window. I just got out of the car and started shooting." Cornelius said he was shot in the arm and leg by Marcus Thornton, young Dolph's brother, who was also at the cookie shop and needed to have a wound kit to clean up his injuries. Justin was grazed by a bullet on his back. Cornelius said they ditched the white Mercedes in a driveway at a home in Orange Mound, Tennessee, directly after the shooting. They then drove a different vehicle to an apartment in South Memphis, Tennessee, where they changed their clothes and cleaned their wounds. Cornelius was later asked about his payment and said he only received $800 before he was arrested. He is also facing a slew of charges related to young Dolph's slaying. During the opening statements in Justin's trial, Tennessee prosecutors alleged that Anthony "Big Jook" Mims, the brother of fellow Memphis rapper Yo Gotti and a member of Yo Gotti-founded record label CMG, put a $100,000 hit out on young Dolph. Shelby County Deputy District Attorney Paul Hagerman outlined the involvement of both Big Jook and Justin. Attorney Hagerman said that Justin was invited to Atlanta by Big Jook and Hernandez to get signed to the CMG, rival to the label established by Young Dolph, Paper Route Empire. Allegedly, Big Jook suggested to Justin that ending young Dolph's life was necessary to secure a recording deal with CMG. Justin's attorney, Luke Evans, said during his opening statements that Justin did not slay young Dolph, and the evidence against him does not tie him to the slaying. Attorney Evans argued that Justin's DNA was never found in the white Mercedes that was caught on video speeding away from the scene, nor were the guns used in the shooting recovered. But video shown at the trial by prosecutors showed Justin at his apartment the night of the slaying wearing the same clothes as seen on a suspect at the scene. Attorney Evans pushed back, saying that similar clothing, like a Bass Pro Shop hat, does not mean Justin is the man in the surveillance videos and in photos. Attorney Hagerman played the surveillance video outside of Makeda's, which showed the moment when a white Mercedes car pulled up to the shop and two men exited the vehicle. Hagerman said that the man in the video holding a handgun was Justin. The other man, who was seen holding a semi-automatic weapon known as a Draco, was Cornelius. On January 13, 2024, Big Jook was shot and slain outside a Memphis, Tennessee restaurant. The slaying of the 47-year-old appeared to be a targeted assassination-style shooting. Officials have not publicly stated if they believe Big Jook's demise is connected to young Dolph's demise. On September 26, 2024, Justin Johnson was found guilty of first-degree slaying, conspiracy to commit first-degree slaying, and possession of a handgun by a felon, and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Justin will be sentenced for the two latter charges in November. Both Cornelius Smith and Hernandez Govan remain charged with first-degree slaying, conspiracy, and more. Cornelius is set to appear in court on November 15, 2024, and Hernandez's trial will start in March 2025.